Will, man, thank you so much for being here today to help shoot the coffee break. I can't wait to share all of the knowledge that we've been gone over with today with our audience, and there was so much there. But there was one thing I thought was really important that we can deliver right now, today,
Okay.
live, and that is how important is that introduction? How important can how could a good introduction really make that networking successful?
So we talked about it. So when we get into the pre-recorded version, we'll go into some more detail in there. But a lot of small business owners use networking events, networking organizations, and groups to try and build their business, to get their name out there, to do those things. And having that right introduction, whether it's in a kind of an evening networker, you're just kind of mingling, meeting people one to one, or you're going to one of those groups where maybe you have 30 or 45 seconds, or you get to do that minute at the mic. Like, those introductions are your opportunities to build brand, build trust, build credibility, and it can literally happen in seconds, but it takes time and effort to actually think about the messaging and what you're trying to get across. And so there's this whole process. We've done workshops. We've got our client cultivation community in Facebook where we've recorded that workshop to go in. But you have to think about the problem that you are trying to solve at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And not big general term, generic things, not saying the same thing that a lot of people have said before to tune out. But when you can focus on how the solution that you provide brings value and solves a problem for folks, and lead with that, that will often open up the conversations deeper. And usually at a networking event, that's all you're trying to do. You're not trying to make a sale off of this 5-second intro that you just did. You're just trying to open up the conversation. And then if you open up a conversation, then you can get in, ask some other questions. You can start to qualify. You can build that relationship. You can do a lot of other things. But you have to have something that's going to plant that seed.
It's going to spark that interest. And it's really interesting because I think it's subtle and most people might miss it. You didn't say introduction. You said introductions with an S at the end, plural, that there's multiple kinds. And during the workshop, which I learned, I mean, I honestly have been doing this for 25 years and now only have a true introduction that I can present. And we didn't just do a minute introduction. We did a 30-second introduction. We did a 10-second introduction. You asked us to think about what that introduction it is when it's a one-to-one conversation.
Yeah.
So you're like mingling, versus that, more corporate, hey, we're introducing ourselves to the entire group kind of a situation.
Right.
And so understanding what the value prop is, what your value proposition is in those different scenarios is even more important, right?
Well, and again, what is the goal? What is the nature of that communication? So, if we're doing the after hour happy hour networker, or the mingling before a big event or something like that, and you come up to me and it's like, so Will, what do you do? That's the most common question asked at a networking event. Like, you need to have an answer that actually answers that question, because most people will say something like, oh, I'm an insurance agent. Well, I didn't ask you what you were. Like, what do you do? And then people will ask things like, or they'll say things like, well, I provide insurance. All right, that technically answers the question, but the real question that I'm actually asking, the question that I can understand the answer to, is what do you do for people? What value do you provide? Because a lot of people get caught up in process and you make jokes about it all the time. Like, if you start talking about the ins and outs of insurance policies and how you actually indemnify, and then the eyes start glazing over, right? And this is true for everybody. Attorneys, pest control people, we have this area of expertise, right? But nobody really cares. They care about the results and the value that you provide and that you can deliver. How are you solving somebody's problem? And so when you can narrow those introductions down to those solutions, now people are interested in saying, oh, well, how do you do that? Or you tell me more about that. And now they've asked and they've given you permission to then go into a little bit more of the process. And again, it's a skill that you refine over time and you practice. But if there's any single thing I would say, is just think about the problem that you are trying to solve. It may be that particular product or service you're really trying to promote right now. but what is the value of that? How does that solve a problem? And lead with that instead of I am XYZ. So Alex, would you mind sharing, like, what is your thing? So
I mean, you know, so my very